let's dive right in. You've been carrying something with you for as long as you can recall, a whisper that emerges when the lights go out, suggesting that your self-perception is merely a delicate narrative. It's not your conscience or your rationality speaking. It's that deep, often silent voice that truly knows you. And if you think it can be ignored, consider this warning you likely haven't heard before. That shadow isn't dispelled by your attempts to act rightly or your displays of insincere humility. It lurks, observes, and bides its time, waiting for you to exhaust your excuses before it shatters your facade and confronts you with your true self. What would you do if you found out that everything you uphold about yourself is merely a narrative crafted to shield you from the terror of introspection? You might believe you have a firm grasp on your identity, that your accomplishments and status solidly define you. But what if all that is just a crudely attached mask over a face you refuse to acknowledge? What if I told you that growth, according to Jung, isn't about refining this mask, but rather about betraying it, shattering it by your own hand, and letting your shadow flood your consciousness with its harsh truths? Consider this. You've spent years nurturing a confined version of yourself, convinced that maintaining this mold would someday render you invulnerable. Are you ready to accept that this very mold is what's suffocating you? Perhaps right now, a chill is running through you, a sign that something within recognizes this moment as more perilous than any external defeat. Because once you face your shadow, there's no turning back. This is seldom spoken about openly. No one confesses that true inner strength requires you to first betray yourself, not your core essence, but the false persona you use to fend off existential emptiness. Acknowledge the parts of you that you loathe, the aspects you suppress for fear they'll ruin your character, the envious, deceitful, domineering parts that don't fit into your virtuous narrative. If you fail to integrate these, they become adversaries that undermine your every effort to evolve. That shadow doesn't vanish when ignored. It strengthens in the recesses of your unconscious. The more you strive to appear flawless, the more power you hand it. They've convinced you that success is a pedestal achievable only if your image remains unblemished. They didn't tell you that true success comes from having the courage to dismantle that image. Why do most falter here? Because confronting what you've hidden forces you to grieve your former self, a symbolic demise, a relinquishing of what you deemed absolute. And this arduous journey is the sole route to individuation. Jung stated it with precision. Those who look outward dream, those who look inward awaken. Yet, awakening is not merely a poetic notion. It's an internal upheaval. Now, are you prepared to let your former self perish? Or will you continue clinging to a fantasy that confines you to a mediocre existence? You cannot grasp your inner power while clinging to an image that provides false security. This is the juncture most avoid. Profound self-awareness is not merely an intellectual endeavor. It is an act of sheer bravery. It involves confronting your darkness and recognizing that you are your greatest barrier. Reflect on your life's path. Each time you've neared genuine change, an inner voice cautioned that it was too risky, that you might lose everything by shedding your persona. That voice urging you to remain as you've always been is what those who've crossed this threshold label as resistance. It's your dying ego's final defense, guarding the prison you've confined yourself to. Crossing this boundary is possible only when you realize your shadow isn't a monster, but part of your truth. If you persist in trying to be flawless, continuing to nurture the illusion of your perfection, you'll stay bound. You might think you're progressing as you accumulate superficial successes, but internally, you remain divided, weak, fearful of your complexity. Inner growth demands that you betray all that, destroy it, and cease being the hero of your own tale to become a complete human. This betrayal is the genesis of your liberation. So heed this question, likely the most uncomfortable you'll face for a while. To whom do you owe loyalty? To your outdated self, or to the truth emerging from your shadow? You must choose. If you opt to defend your sugar-coated version, you doom yourself to a life where each step is a feeble effort to sustain the unsustainable. But if you brave betraying that image, if you embrace and integrate your darkness, you embark on the only journey worth taking, the one to fulfill your destiny. No one else can undertake this for you. No one will hand you a map of your psyche. You must venture into the uncharted realms of your unconscious and confront the aspects you fear most. There, you'll find that your anger, envy, and need for control aren't maladies to be cured, but misdirected energies. Recognizing them transforms them from captors to catalysts. Most never reach this realization, preferring the comfort of a fabricated identity over the uncertainty of transformation. Yet, this uncertainty is the sole gateway to true inner power. Ever wonder why so many feel hollow despite having it all? It's because they've constructed their lives on a limited self that never had genuine roots. They've denied their shadow and, with it, forsaken their real strength. Today, you can continue parading in that disguise, hoping it eventually becomes your skin. Or you can acknowledge it as an outdated garment that no longer shields you from anything. This moment, right now, when you sense an internal tremor, is your chance. The chance to view yourself unfiltered and decide that enough is enough, that you will no longer guard your own prison. Ultimately, it boils down to this choice. Will you remain loyal to a deceased image or take the risk of authenticity? Will you live under the dominion of a character, or will you dare to fully integrate yourself? Betraying your former self isn't a defeat. It's the most profound act of freedom a person can experience. When you dare to discard your mask, you become whole, and no one can strip that power from you. And if you believe you've grasped the essence so far, understand that you've merely begun to uncover a deeper, more unsettling process, the dissolution of all idealized self-images you've constructed about your worth. Yes, you might have realized there's nothing substantial behind your persona, but what you might not suspect is that your internal idols, those perfect archetypes you've revered, are the most deceptive bars of your cage. How often have you dreamed of becoming that polished, radiant version that, in your mind, would rescue you from your insecurities? How many years have you spent trying to mold yourself into an impeccable figure of success, intelligence, or kindness, believing that fitting this illusion would erase your pain? Now, take a deep breath before hearing this. There is no flawless identity coming to save you. No bright future will absolve you from the task of recognizing your whole self with all your shadows and lights, contradictions, and primal fears. It's ironic, isn't it? The more you obsess over perfection, the further you drift from your true power. This is a subtlety few dare to face, because admitting it means acknowledging that your pursuit of perfection is, at its core, a desperate attempt to mask your shame. Every time you tell yourself you should be more successful, more virtuous, more consistent, you turn away from your humanity. You declare that you, in your raw form, are unworthy of existence. As long as you maintain this myth, no matter how secure you appear, you will live in constant fear of being unmasked. This is what Carl Jung recognized as a betrayal far more profound than any external decision. It's not just about letting go of the old version of yourself, but about relinquishing the illusion that you will ever be perfect. It means facing your shadow and accepting that you don't need to eradicate it to deserve respect. Your strength doesn't rely on becoming an immaculate being. On the contrary, your strength grows when you stop defending your facade and boldly state, without shame, "This is me, shadows included." Do you feel it? True liberation arises when you realize that authenticity holds more value than any imaginary medal you long to wear. And why is this step so daunting? Because demolishing your idealized images leaves you without excuses. As long as you believe you just need a bit more discipline or something else, talent perhaps, you can indefinitely delay confronting your truth. It's comfortable, in a way. You can hide in your character. I hope that crack widens every time you try to return to your old comfort. I hope that, even if you want to, you can no longer forget who you truly are. Because if you reach the point where your mask no longer fits your face, that will be the toughest and the most glorious day of your life. See you soon. We'll meet in the shadow.